season 2, episode 2. And also, I'll have in the description below again to pre-order or order because Chrisean has came out with her own clothing line, starting with hoodies and stuff. So, go ahead and support your little girl. Okay. Again, as usual, we see the toxic mix, but we pick up exactly where we left off
Work out with your music
of the
career,
last
you
You
can just
episode.
be a
said
blood
if,
roller
it's
for
not
me.
if.
Where
These things are going to work
Deshaun
out. When the
is
music work out, I'm a believer, a manifester, and how you put your mind, that's where you want to be at.
Because I want to be the best.
I'm talking. He all like, of course, pushing her away and all this other
Explaining
shit,
myself
right?
I'm gonna take
And
whatever's mine. I don't
so,
give a fuck.
he finally, he asked her, "You gonna work in front of me?" Because I forgot to make shot to cover me. We were popular talented authors Keisha Irvin. Check out her channel, He with a Y instead of an I. She mentioned about how he feels the type of way like don't walk in front of me. And type of thing. Because even asked like, you gonna walk in front of me even to get off the bus or whatever. And
like,
so she goes in, she just even
you be praying for it, and then when it happens, you like,
whatever.
what's happening?
All right, I'll just somewhat act like I'm interested to get you to check in her type of way. He goes in, they go to the way, she's still recording and supporting as usual, whatever. And then they get ready, I guess like getting in line for the fight. And even then she decides she got her outfit supposed to match his, kind of like her version of it. Because her clothes, she's up here, they're winning fight, of course, supporting him, making sure it's back and straight, trying to support watch his trainer. I think his name is David. It's like the trainer right there. Up there, over here, over here, and just, like I said, they're getting prepared for the fight. And I guess they're asking, when they be, waiting in line, what's next, how long we gotta wait before the next fight comes or whatever, right? So, they're getting ready to go in. And I could have sworn, y'all, when they're going into the place, I'm hearing people, and it's not because I'm trying to be biased or anything, I could have sworn people are like, oh my God, it's Chrisean. I didn't hear too much really about hearing about Blueface in the background. Or maybe it was just me. I could have sworn that I heard people were calling for Chrisean out there, when, like I said, when the fight was getting ready to start, and, she's, standing up, just supporting him, recording, I guess they went around about 4 rounds, him and that Ed Matthews dude, whatever. And, she's happy that her man won at the time being. And, they go to the club. He all happy. All of a sudden, of course, he went in the fight. And they go to this club. He raps one of his songs, whatever, and then they show back, I guess whenever they went back to, back to LA, whatever, right? And again, let's get ready, y'all, for the gaslighting as usual, okay? Okay, y'all, let's get to the gaslighting part in 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this scene we have with Chrisean, Blueface is up there, with his backpack full of trees and shit up there smoking, whatever. And then this time he even asked Chrisean to come over so he can rub the belly. You can kind of see, Chrisean is such a tone, is just so toned, and she's one of, it's not surprising that, you got to kind of squinch to see the baby bump. And he, asks us to rub the belly and all this stuff, and then proceeds to go and ask her, like, when you lied and said you were, were gone, and blah, 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 and, questioning the paternity of the baby. She's like, okay, DNA. She done it. That is a tattoo on her body as much she kept saying we get the paternity because, it's yours. And he's like, well, you're a grown woman. Gaslighting. So what? You ain't got to lie, whatever. And she's like, it's not like we A1. And it's also, A1 as far there's a relationship not being toxic, whatever. So she's like this, like, I was actually visiting my mom and stuff, but the reason why I say we in here, because know how the way you act, but she's proving right then and there, and with his behavior, but he's, keep on trying to say like she's a liar, whatever, and basically question the paternity and all this other stuff after just rubbing the belly. And she's like, she's having her family coming to support, and I guess they're about to do the DNA and paternity in a couple of days or whatever, slash, her first doctor. He's like, oh, well, isn't that nice for you? Oh, isn't that great? You get support and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, are you looking forward, to find out baby stuff? And he's like, yeah, I am, being sarcastic, whatever, right? So a couple, whatever, scenes later, the next scene, whatever, we got a couple of boys. I don't remember, there was at least two of Blueface cousins. I don't remember their names. And they're having, I guess, like a so-called meeting again about, not again, I don't know. I didn't mean to say again, y'all, but I ain't editing out this shit. I'm just going to keep going. About, Chrisean, if that's his baby or not. And they all talking about, I think one of the cousins are friends, because it was a couple more dudes that came in. I think there was Lisa's friends, whatever, later on, whatever. But at the time, when they're up there talking about it, he, like, one of them was like, pretty much, I think that's his baby, whatever. And they wondering like, oh, where she's at? And finally, Chrisean comes to get, one of them Kool-Aid blue jammers or something like that, but she's like, well, what y'all talking about me? And she sits in his lap, and, one of the dudes is like, well, this is, you're not included in this meeting. You can go, you need to go somewhere else. And Blueface, what they're saying, the shit like that, also says, like I said, another comment again that was inappropriate. It was like, either we're talking about either you're going to feed fishes or you're going to be with the fishes. The pluck? Like it's, okay. Let me just say, besides that saying she don't need to be there and all this other stuff, whatever, and still like questioning, if she's live, returning stuff like that. Then later, like I said, some more boys going, and he says he's going on his way to go to the studio. And of course, Chrisean, being the person that, even though she ain't gonna be tracked up to be supportive, she goes in there with him. She even ends up holding his hoodie, but you could tell, like, it's, like, even though she's being quote unquote supportive, unfortunately, it's sad to see this, because it's like, here she's putting so much stress on herself. And who knows what was said behind closed doors, after the studio session, whatever. Because later on, because like I said, it wasn't that, not to say it wasn't that much in this episode, but later on, Chrisean decides to call, her family down there. Her family members, two of her sisters. I know one name, I think, is Teresa, and I don't remember the other sister that was in this jumpsuit outfit. But when she calls for support, who knows what was said, or what was said, whatever. But it went from Chrisean was like, I want to have this baby, and this is a time where, because if you go on Chrisean's Instagram, I follow her on there now. I have been for like the past month or so. If you go to her page, like, she'll advertise the show. Even this scene that's about to talk with, it was a sad scene, but, what she was talking about, she'll have it on temporarily now, but it's not going to stay on the page. And I don't blame her, the chaos. Even months ago, she had a one that was pinned where she shows a scene where she's getting, like, her, I guess her first, like her ultrasound and the DNA test and everything. And, find out the gender of the baby. And she no longer has that on her page. So I don't blame her for, trying to say drop, advertise your brand. You still got up, like I said, a Coben line. I need to insert it again. And like I said, it should be in a description. And may not. I don't know about being able to slide it in TikTok, but it sure would be, y'all. Watch the whole video on YouTube. It should be description there and in my podcast at least. And probably my Instagram as well. Okay, let's get off subject. Now, the sad part is that when her, she's down, and now she's like, I don't know if she's already had shots or she's getting, because, I forgot to mention, when Blueface is in, Blueface drinks Henny like it's water. He had Henny taken to the head while in the studio. I could have sworn, even before his boys come in, if it's not weed, it's taking Henny to the head. Like I said, that is not juice. Even juice would be healthier than how the way he drinking that Henny and shit. And compared, like I said, it has even had one water bottle. He pretend at least drink a tap, like even a bottle cap of water. Anyways, So Chrisean's having a breakdown. She's, sadly, she wants to, even though she prayed to get pregnant and everything, she wants to drink. Her sister and they're like, we ain't about to, we ain't about to let you lie to drink. Because she's like this. Yeah, she wants to, get the gender and, get DNA reveals, but you're going to turn around and unalive the baby. She don't want the baby anymore because they ain't working out with him. She don't, all this other stuff. I'm just tired and everything. And she's just crying. She's in this hoodie, hiding her hair. If she could hide herself. And, she don't want to wake up or anything. She just want to go sleep. And she was saying a lot of stuff. And I pray hopefully that she's, healed from that and learn to get help, to get healed from that, because it was really sad and scary, even though thank God that, try to keep the baby so forth, but that she doesn't have to feel that way, that she feels, like I just want to give up breathing. You know what I mean? And I don't want this child more because it's not working out with him, which has always been a toxic gaslit thing anyway. And either the good moments or hoping for the good moments potential that has been there. So her sister's like, I don't even feel comfortable about taking a shot for her too. I know you're okay and stuff like that. And so she goes in the back, and even the dogs, but they show two, or I don't know how many dogs they had, but they showed two cage dogs, but one of the dogs was free, and even the dog could, instinct like, okay, something's wrong, because they started to bark, because because she was like, I want to get my passports. Passport, just leave the country after she, decides not to keep the baby, and it's, she ends up going in the jacuzzi. They ain't even on or nothing, just in there. And her sisters are still trying to talk to her, like, no, we gonna keep this baby. So like, no, don't feel that way. I don't know what goes on when we're not here, but we here for you and such and such, right? Which on the previews, y'all, the one that was kind of like talking side of one of the shot, one of them, she ends up getting into an altercation with her in the next preview. I don't know if they cool now or whatever, but I'm like, this is kind of sad, with that. But at this moment, they on good. She's trying to do her best to be there for her sister Chrisean, while they're trying to talk and, encourage her, like, this doesn't have to be this way, whatever, you don't have to do this. So for a second, y'all, she goes underwater, but thank God she comes back up, but because her sister's like, let me turn the heater water on, and they're trying to get her out of there, but she is just so broken at the moment, and whatever she's going to, she's like, I don't want to be famous no more. She's just crying. She's just breaking down. And that's when also she was saying that she didn't want to be here no more. It's does. And there's, like I said, her sisters, I think Teresa was the one that kind of stayed off, and I forgot, like I said, the other sister that was in the green, two-piece that was going back and forth, but they did their best to try to stay with her and be with her at this moment. But like I said, that was, it was just like so sad to see that, her breaking down and so forth. But, it's toxic where you can't even be, like, you're so broken or whatever, and you don't feel like it's not worth leaving here anymore. People or things and stuff can put you in that position. You know what I mean? Sometimes. Not everybody, but I'm just saying, just feeling that way. But that was pretty much the episode. And I mean, if you like what you hear, I mean, I don't mean like negative stuff, but you're like, go ahead, subscribe, like, and share the video. And I would definitely see y'all in the next one. But like I said, let me go ahead, and maybe I should add in the advertising again, about Chrisean's Rocks, thing. And it's just, like I said, to keep gaslighting, talking about her baby mama, just a drama. And I think also too, they would talk about the studio, about child support, and the guys like, yeah, you need child support. I don't know if the same one was telling her she needed to leave, but it was just so awkward about her being there. And maybe it was just me in my perspective, but I felt like they were kind of like making it seem like she's the reason why Blueface has some of the problems he has, or she's a problem, so she's the cause of his bad injury, stuff like that. I don't. Anyway, y'all, I'm out of here, and I'll see y'all in the next one.